Welcome to the special webinar using free software for media production, organized by Department of Media Science, the Heritage Academy, and Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Surendranath College for Women. Today we have with us our esteemed guests, Mr. Gaurav Pant, founder at Open Source Cook, and Dr. Samir Sahasrabudhe, Director of Educational Multimedia Research Center, Pune. Mr. Gaurav Pant, founder at Open Source Cook, is a freelance web developer at Horizontal Rings and a trainer for open source technologies. He uses GNU Linux-based system for web development and works with content management systems like Drupal, WordPress, Joomla, etc. He is associated with Symbiosis Institute of Computer Studies and Research and Symbiosis Institute of Design as a trainer. He has conducted training for 3D game design and development using Blender 3D. Dr. Sahasrabudhe has been associated with IIT Bombay as a senior project research scientist, project manager, and senior project manager teaching animation with Blender. Now I would like to invite Dr. Uma Shankar Pandey, Head and Associate Professor, Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Surendranath College for Women, to say a few words.
Thank you, Anubhav, and you people have done such a wonderful job, the team at the Heritage Academy. So we can't, praise you enough for the fabulous work that you've done. Thanks again to all my colleagues. So they deserve to be named once again. Professor Shottobroto Paul, Professor Shavani Mukhopadhyay, Professor Ushashira Sengupta, Professor Konka Mujumdar, Professor Otoshi Bhattacharya, Professor Ananya Sen, and Professor Jyoti Shah. Thank you, colleagues. You've always, stood like a pillar for everything that the department has done. Thank you, everyone at the Heritage Academy. Thank you for getting it going. I won't elongate this further. Now, I think we should invite Dr. Samir Sahasrabudhe for his presentation.
Yes, Dr. Sahasrabudhe and Dr. Pant.
Thanks to Madhupari, she's moderating the show today.
USP around, you don't need any moderation. What is yours?
It's a very funny situation where USP is the USP of the show. So that's very okay. Thank you all. I think without further any delays, let me just get to the focal point of this talk. I'm just kind of trying to throw in some questions in the beginning, and all of you are encouraged to use the chat more often so that we will be able to see what you guys want to say. So, okay, I have Gaurav Pant with me, who is open source enthusiast and evangelist, I should call him. And it is because of him, actually, I corrected myself on a couple of occasions about some of the misconceptions which typically are carried out by people who don't know too much about open source. So yeah, here he is. Let's get going. I am presenting from the screen right now. I'm going to ask an interesting question to start with, whether we want to learn animation for the exclamation mark or for explanation. So why is this divide? So this divide is because animation per se has been most popular as an entertainment tool. I have been one person who has migrated from entertainment to education, and therefore I see both the sides of animation, and I thought I would talk to this young crowd and at least tell them about what all possibilities animation has in store for the educational purpose also, because that's a very big media which is currently being exploited and explored by many people. In fact, post the COVID situation, all these people who were using animations for educational purposes are in great demand right now. So that is one skill you can seriously think about. And also because of the fact that not everyone is made up for film animation. That also is a very straightforward and very curt sentence. I'm sorry for that. But it's a fact that not everyone is made for film animation. Therefore, we have to understand our pluses and minuses and then choose our career in a right way. So therefore, I just thought I will push this thing in the beginning. And let's see, a very small but important intro, because why am I here basically? I'm here because I'm a fine arts graduate and I am also an animation person. If you see my career path, Can you see some kind of a visual consistency there? We have some squares and circles. So the circles and squares actually are denoting the time when I was learning, and the circles are where I was learning and getting paid for it. So that's how I put it. But after my job at ZTV, where I worked last with the entertainment side of animation, I was making a movie based on Hyderabad's history. I realized that entertainment animation in India is not really heading towards a very nice direction. So I thought of pursuing my passion in educational animation, and that's how I landed in IIT Bombay, where the circle became inside the square, where I actually also studied and also got earned during the whole process. And therefore, I want to just start off by saying this particular thing, and I hope all of you are on your keypads right now. Whatever device you are using, just keep the keypad ready now. So animation is a meticulous art. Let me put it this way. It's a very, very meticulous art. So for those people who are thinking of getting into animation, this is a very important question. And for those who already know, probably they can enjoy this whole thing also. Okay, so let's see how meticulous it is. So this person is actually, why I put this person is his name is Gene Ditch. He passed away. He is the creator of the famous television series Tom and Jerry. And they don't need any introduction. They are actually world famous people, Tom and Jerry. I think any part of the world you ask this question about a famous cartoon series, then you'll always get the name of Tom and Jerry. So now, if we know Tom and Jerry, we just try to build up an example of a Tom and Jerry episode now, just to give you a brief idea about what efforts are required for that. Okay, so imagine a Tom and Jerry episode of like 20 minutes. Right. So now everyone knows that 1 second of animation is 25 frames, and that is because of the persistence of vision. So if we know that, then let me ask you a question. So let us now start a mathematics class instead of the animation lecture which was going on. So if it is 1 second is equal to 25 frames, what would be a minute? Yes, it would be 1500 frames to be precise, right? Now, if it is 1 minute is equal to 1500 frames, then 20-minute episode, how much that would be? Taking around 22 minutes, because that's a standard thing there, 30,000 frames, 33,000 frames. But do you remember we are talking about the series called as Tom and Jerry? So these frames are only for Tom, right? So now if we calculate for Jerry, how much that would be? The double of that, it would be 66,000 frames, right? Again, these are the final frames only, which will come on screen. Now, for every final frame, there is at least 2 frames which are drawn by hand and they are not correct. So we throw them away and we create a final frame which is very good, and we can use them in the animation. So that makes it 3 times. So if we calculate all this, it becomes a whooping number of 1,98,000 frames, which are drawn by these animators to create 1 episode of Tom and Jerry. Right now, the question is that this is only for 1 episode. Now, remember, how many episodes have you seen in your life? And the immediate question is that, is this effort reduced when it comes to computer animation? Well, the answer is yes and no. The reason being that even for computer animation, you need similar amount of creativity and effort to put the motion in place. So even if I am showing a walk cycle, it is not a computer program which will automatically move my legs accordingly. I have to animate them by putting certain keyframes, and then the in-betweening should be done by the computer. That is possible. But still, there are some lot of catch points here. For example, I am showing a hand from here to here. This is a keyframe and this is a keyframe. So computer can imagine various frames. But now tell me the problem when I see this part of the hand in my first frame and I see this part of the hand in the second frame. It is not possible unless I have visualized it that way. That comes to the next point, that one important feature or skill that is required by animators is visualization, right? So how do we do on visualization? Let's try a small visualization test here. Okay, so here is a task. So can you name an object which has a rectangle as a side view? So all of you know a rectangle, right? So can you name an object which has a rectangle as a side view? So then I gave up the answer actually. So why not a tire? Can you think of a tire as an answer here? Well, lot of people will not think that as an answer because we are so stuck with, when I say rectangle, you immediately delete all the images that come to your mind which has a spherical face. But it is only one side that is spherical, but it is actually a rectangle from other side, right? I heard someone said cylinder. Yes, every cylinder is applicable here. A bottle, a pen, every cylinder is a rectangle from some direction. Now that's where I say that for an animator, it is extremely crucial to have the visualization in them, because that will just be so much required when you get into the creative of animation filmmaking process. So that is where I just wanted to share with you. So how many agree that tire could be a correct answer and they could not think about it? Am I right with the answer of tire? How many people feel that they could have given us? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Madhupaji, you can also give your point of view in case you want to share that.
You told us that we cut out the circle from that means anything from our mind simply because we associate rectangle with that square that comes in our mind.
Yes, exactly. But the point I am making is that when we talk about 3D software, right now we are talking about 3D software. Today's session is about 3D animation. The moment we talk in 3D, we should have the possibility of thinking from all three directions for any given object. The moment we see a thing like this, a flask, we know that this is rectangle, but we know that this is circle, exact circle from the top, or it is exact rectangle from the side. And when you see in 3D view, it is actually a cylinder. So this aptitude of being able to visualize a particular object from all three directions, even with your closed eyes, is an important ability for people who want to learn 3D modeling, 3D animation. It is not about, okay, start a software and go file, open, start a new object. So that is not something which is important. That's what I wanted to bring up, that it is that ability of being able to visualize things, it is that ability to being creative about it, and it is also an important facet to remember that it is a meticulous art. It is not something that, okay, I click some buttons here and there and just animation is done. So this is especially for those people who get kind of uh, charmed by the various interesting features which animation has. Definitely, it is very good, and we can use it as an extremely beautiful tool for creating some amazing effects. So let me show that also. Okay, so let us revise. So what is animation then? Animation is change over time. So you have to show something that is changing on its own. You can use animation there. For example, a bud converting into a flower is a change over time. Okay, ice melting into water is a change over time, right? So a building being constructed is a change over time. But then why do you use animation in that? It is because you cannot document that using a camera. So if you want to show internal structure of how hydrogen isolates from oxygen, you cannot show that. If you want to show how fireworks are happening in a particularly peaceful environment of Gateway of India, you use animation and special effects there, because that is to be created digitally. They are not created really. So camera is not required for that to shoot things. So that is where animation can be used. It is showing transformation. So it can change from A to B. All these morphings of human becoming a tiger and lion becoming a deer. All these transformations are very easy for animation. And then how it is made in frames, number of frames, and therefore we come to digital side of it, where we say that animation has to be done using frames. Now by default we all know we use 24 frames per second, right? So yes, so we want to learn animation. And when we want to learn animation, what are the choices in front of us? We have the proprietary softwares and we also have the open source software. Why we choose Blender is because of the simple reason that, first of all, it is open source. And the source being available to you is a huge thing. I'm sure Gaurav will talk about it in a minute. But more importantly, which I like the most about Blender is it has a extremely big network of enthusiasts which are very supportive. You have a problem about Blender, you just have to post in the forum and you'll get an answer within minutes. It's a huge pool of experienced Blender artists worldwide who will give you answers at a fraction of a second. So that's the best power of I think working with Blender. And finally, it is very good to practice. So suppose you are a learner in animation, then it will be easy for you to take something like open source software like Blender to practice. And if you master it, then always, if the industry requires, you can always migrate to Maya or whatever. In fact, at this point, I would like to share an important news with you. One of the topmost studios producing animation in the country is called as Vaibhav Studios, if you have heard about it. You may not know the name of the studio, but you will definitely know the animation done by them. If you remember the advertisements created for the Amaron batteries, which are animated battery animations, all those animation advertisements were created by Vaibhav Studios. They are one of the most popular animation studios in the country. They have taken a call that they will be migrating 100% to Blender in coming year. They have started the training already of their team members, and within 1 year, they are going to shift completely to Blender. Now, that is where I can tell you confidently that Blender is going to be an industry standard tool in near future. So there is no problem in adapting that. Gaurav, you want to come in? Somebody said something.
I can't hear anything.
Okay. Fine. Okay. Yeah. So, so that is where we are. If you have any question about this so far, you can just start posting it. What we are now going to do is that we will have actual demonstration of Blender. But just before that, I just wanted to show you what is possible in Blender. Blender is useful for modeling, texturing, lighting, animation, and all that. And you can see that. You can see on the left hand side, this is the photograph, and this is the one created in Blender, which looks realistic enough for things. This is again something which is created in Blender. Why I'm showing educational content is mostly because I was working extensively on that. But we will also show you a film which is created in Blender, and I think Gaurav, should we show the Big Bugs Bunny at this point, maybe? Or any other film that you thought of?
I think we'll share the link, which will be much more suitable because
I
it's
can
around
just
9
share
minutes.
I can share some screenshots of that just to show the quality of modeling, maybe.
Yeah, because like that will give a fair idea that
Yeah.
I think that was made around 8-10 years ago.
Yes.
So
Okay.
please go ahead.
So this is the film name for those who are okay. Okay. Can you see the title of the film? Big Bug Bunny.
Big Bug Bunny.
Yeah. Okay. So people who are interested in that, please take a note of this Big Bug Bunny. You can Google for this. There's a movie out there, and this is completely created using Blender. So look at the kind of screens here. Okay, let me just put it up there in full screen so that people can see it better. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
The water, the reflection, the texture of the grass, the atmospheric things. You look at the character, the texture of the feathers and the skin tone. You can see the lushness of the grass here. Look at the soft look of the character and the stony feel of the other texture. So we can easily see different things happening here. This is a very interesting movie, a very small movie actually, in just 9 minutes, but we thought that it will eat up a lot of time when we want to show today's demonstration. What we now want to do is that we should, Gaurav will be now taking you through a kind of a live demo of how you can work in Blender. Yeah, so we are not going to do the screening now. Anyway, I had a slide by that, but yeah, we are not going to screen. But for those who are interested in knowing about it, I have already told the name, Big Bugs Bunny. Oh, I also see one of my friend Agnijit Tarafdar here. Great. So, so I think what you guys can do is like you can have it, have a look at it at your own time. I now request Gaurav to get going with the demonstration part. We are around 3:30 now. So yeah, we'll take some time for the demonstration, and then we'll come back to some important links that I want to with you, where you can learn Blender on your own. So Gaurav, over to you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Samir, for that nice introduction. Yeah, so we'll be starting with the demo of this Blender. Of course, there are two aspects about demonstration. Why I asked Samir not to demo that movie is because already the video quality is not so great what we are having right now. And people always have this misconception that open source software is not good, or it cannot be used in production or something like that. That's a big misconception. In fact, I don't know how many of you know that more than 60% of the internet which you are using today, because how we are being able to communicate is because of open source. Lot of servers that are running on Linux or Linux type systems which are completely open source, and these are backed by the industry. So again, there is one of these concepts that keep on coming up is that open source is not backed by the industry. In fact, companies like IBM support it. In fact, I don't know whether I should say it here or not. MySQL is a known name in database. So a certain company took over it just because MySQL was becoming very big. MySQL still is open source, but there is another one. So what happened was the community has forked that project, and there is a MariaDB now, which is completely open source and which is supported by the community. And many places MariaDB is being directly used. Another big name is Red Hat, which is one of the enterprise level Linux distributions which is being used. Now, very interestingly, most of the times these things are not directly visible to us and people assume. So today, if your internet works perfectly or more than perfect, is because there is a huge backbone of open source and Linux based systems. So that is the only reason I just wanted to tell you that it is not just that there are a bunch of people who are doing this. Blender has its own complete Blender Foundation, and they are making Blender better and better and better. I have been seeing Blender for a very long time, and today it is on a very good level. I have also collected few links, and for people who don't know, Blender organizes a Blender Conf every year, Blender Conference, and I got a link of one person who's been using Blender for a long time, and he has told in a lot of movies where actually Blender has been used for the production part in reality. The issue is that big companies do not want to disclose many a times what product they are actually using in the background. Fine. And apart from that, the client is only interested in the final product. If it works, then it is fine, and it really doesn't matter whether you have used Blender in the background or Maya or something. So even if it is proprietary, non-proprietary, open, if it does not work, then the client is not happy. Anyways, so again, I usually get carried on with the open source discussion all the time, but now I'll start with the Blender part. And I'll also clarify one thing. I'm not a big filmmaker, animator, or something. I'm a person who used Blender as a hobby. I met Samir in between for because I had to teach and take up certain sessions, and he also gave me a good amount of guidance regarding this. I used his one of these lecture series, MOOC series, which is there in IIT Bombay, as a good reference point for the Blender training and all. And so primarily I used it as a hobby, and I have found it very interesting. I have not used any kind of proprietary software and other things, so I will not be able to comment or compare it with it. But whatever I have used, if you understand the term price performance ratio, Blender is one of the best thing that you can ever get. Anyways, so I'll just start with a few things which
Excuse me, sir. Before you
uh,
start, can I ask you a question?
yeah,
Like,
sure.
what's the price of Blender software? If you don't
See,
mind.
yeah, the price basically is 0 rupees. You can just go to the Blender's website, that is blender.org, and download the Blender software, which is completely free. Now, when I say completely free, another misconception will come up that people will think it's a pirated software. No, it's not a pirated software. You will get you will get a completely legal licensed software that you can use without any fear. And anything that you produce, make, or whatever you do with that, no one is going to restrict you in using it in a commercial manner. If you make a movie and you make a lot of money from it, no one is going to ask you ki bhai you used Blender, give us some money. They are not going to ask. There is no restriction of anything like that. These things which are made, these have been rendered images from Blender, and these are not to scale and other things, but these were done with Blender. And from a person like me who is not, as far as I understand, I don't consider myself any kind of expert. So this is a chessboard where all these chess pieces are glass. One is a dark glass, another is a lighter glass. Then this is some kind of metallic chair commonly seen. So one chair was lying at my place, so I tried copying that. This is a trial copy for a spark plug. Again, this is not to scale. So, okay, so these are the few things, 2-3 images which I wanted to show, which were done with Blender. I did quite some time ago. Now I'll share the Blender screen with you and I'll start discussing about that. So Blender recently released a newer version, the 2.8 series, and after this there will be a series called as the version 3. With version 3, the concept of LTS release with start, that will be a long-term support. So what is going to happen in a long-term support is that a particular release which is there, it will be supported for next 5 years. So if you are planning for a production or something, then updates and supports for that particular release for next 5 years for that. Okay, so this is the Blender 2.8, and what I would suggest is that you people should start with 2.8 series itself, because there have been quite some changes as compared to the previous versions of Blender. So over here, they have tried making it compatible to the so-called industry standards. That means the shortcut keys, combinations, and other things are supposed to be like the industry standard. So what we can do over here in Blender is you can go ahead with the general one. General is basically the standard 3D setup. Then you can do a 2D animation. This was referred as grease pencil in the earlier versions. You can do sculpting, fine. So sculpting is basically when you have to make faces and other kind of things body parts and you have to sculpt them, then you can do sculpting. You have VFX, and very interestingly, one of the parts that Blender has, which is highly ignored, is the video editing. That means within Blender you can do the video editing part. You really don't need to leave the Blender itself. So all these things are directly possible in Blender. What Blender has removed is, there used to be a very interesting thing called as the Blender game engine. That means you could have made games, 3D games, directly in Blender. I have used that, and I have used that for training purposes also. It was a very interesting part of Blender, but there was less support and response for that. So Blender people have decided to remove that for making, with respect to, it's a trade-off for the going towards more animation part. And Blender has a new rendering engine. Now, what is a rendering engine? That is the so rendering engine is the part that actually decides how a view will look. That means if there is a light source, the light will fall on an object based on the intensity of the light, the texture, the material, the surroundings and everything. The light will fall, light will reflect based on the colors. There will be a shadow and other things. So how realistic this will look is updated in the newer engines. The newer, so basically the engine is going to finalize how the image will look or how the animation will look. Fine, how realistic the scenes will look. So Blender is now associated with a new engine called as Eevee. I will share you some links. Those are YouTube videos which will demonstrate what are the advantages of Eevee. Of course, these differences will be more understood by people who have used the earlier rendering engine and people who will be using the new rendering engine. Anyways, so let us get started with the Blender interface, and I will just try to demonstrate the interface over here, and we'll start with the general interface. So if you have used an earlier Blender, you will notice few interesting differences is that the Blender world has this mesh which you can see, or the square graph surface. Now it is available continuously. Fine. So every Blender 3D scene starts with these three things. There is a camera, there is a cube, or we refer this as a mesh object. So it is by default a cube, and there is this particular object which is a light. So can anyone tell me why these three objects are there all the time? I'll not be able to read the comments, so if anyone knows, can someone tell me?
Sir,
People who are in,
may I?
please type it in the comment box.
For the
and
perspective, for getting the idea of perspective, Mansi Agarwal says,
okay.
Anubhav Datta says one of them is light, other is camera.
Yes.
Rahul says for the understanding of depth.
Okay, so I'll get back to the point.
Camera is like
People who are,
camera is like
I'm not asking why, what is the purpose of these objects. I'm asking, every time you will start a Blender scene, you will find these three things all the time: a camera, this object, and light.
So yeah, people
Okay,
are coming in.
so-
Rajat says basic elements for a scene setup, or
Yeah.
Shreya says for understanding the dimension, and Soumya says basic things which are needed for every scene.
Okay, so yeah, so someone said which is basic for every scene. So people who are into filmmaking, they should be able to answer this very easily, because their standard dialogue is light, camera, and action. I hope most of you have heard this: light, camera, and action. So try to understand it. If you are trying to make a scene or take a photograph of a, of a model or anything, without light, nothing is visible. Of course, if you're doing a daytime shooting, the light is there. So light has to be there. This is an unnatural world. Light has to be provided. So one light has to be there. One object has to be there which you want to shoot. So this is our action basically. And this is your camera. So all basic setup will always have these three units, that is the light, camera and action. Camera is basically, someone said it is like an eye, because right now when I'll be working on this object, I can view it from any way. So you can consider yourself as a sculptor or a person who is working on a real life object. So this view which you see right now is a real life view. Fine. I can move around this view. So in a real life, you will actually move around this view physically. In a 3D view, you have to understand you will never move in reality, because if you go behind your monitor, you will not be able to see this. Fine. So we really have to move this whole world around us and get a feel that we are moving. So basically, the whole world is having this center over here. This is the center of your world, because this is an infinite world, and you need to start having a calculation point from where things should take place. So this is the center or 0, 0, 0 of the world. So whenever we talk about 3D, we have three axes, that is the X, Y and Z. So X and Y are your flat axes over here. These ones are X and Y, and Z is usually your axis which takes you up and down like this. Fine. This is your Z axis. So that is what makes it a 3D world. Now working in 3D, if you understand few geometrical concepts or engineering concepts of perspective and orthographic, then it is going to make your life very easy. And those two concepts are really required to be understood by everyone. And like what Samir said, that tire thing, I'll just demonstrate it, is that I will add this torus, and this is what he was saying is an example for rectangle. Of course, it really does not come to anyone's mind that it will be a side view will be rectangular. So I'll just show you the side view, which is this. Now this becomes a rectangular shape if it is this, in terms of, now this tire is basically a bit curved over here, so it's not exactly looks like rectangular shape, but a tire is usually considered flat from these areas. So that is why that is an interesting example. Or if we remove this shape also and take a cylinder, sorry, then cylinder is an example of the rectangular view, which is this. If you see this particular view, this is a cylinder, but the view is rectangular. This is what was required, and this kind of visualization is very important, as Samir said, because if your visualization is not good, the visualization which I call as imagination, sometimes if your imagining power is not so good, then any kind of tool will not be helpful to you. So animation, filmmaking and all these things, I think Samir also pointed out similar point that tools are not going to help if you cannot imagine what you have to do. So anyone can teach you how to use these tools. These tools will help you out doing a lot of things, but if you can't imagine what is to be done, then you cannot do a great work over here. These tools will overcome your problems of drawing skills. Like I cannot draw very well, fine. Like I say that I am a person जिसको आप scale भी दे दो तो भी टेढ़ी line बना देगा. So these kind of things you can overcome because of by using these kind of tools. But imagination cannot be replaced by these particular tools. Okay, so let us say I'll just I think I'll stick myself to demonstrating these things. because that whole training part is quite complicated. So let us say we'll take an example over here, and let us say we want to make a simple table with this over here. So how we can do this? We usually start with a cube. So if you notice over here, we have certain mesh objects. Fine. So what is a mesh object? I'll discuss when I'm working on that. There's a plane, cube, circle, UV sphere, icosphere, cylinder, cone, torus, and so on. The idea is you will start with a basic shape and modify it into another shape, which will originate from this kind of shape. So let us say if I have to make a submarine, fine. So I will not start with this particular shape. I would prefer to start with a basic shape which is UV sphere, and then I can scale it in a particular axis like this, fine. Something like this is already looking like a submarine. So you can understand this is the part of imagination where you have to realize that from which basic shape another shape will come ahead. So this is the idea behind having those particular shapes. So if I want to make a table, obviously I have to start with a cube type of shape. Now here I can scale this object. So if you see right now we are in an object mode. So this tool gives us a facility for editing the objects. A basic object can be edited in 3 ways. One is I can relocate the object somewhere. This is called as moving. Now here with this new Blender, you can move the object by selecting it, and here these are the tools. Fine. So you can see the move tool, you can click on it and you can drag it anywhere like this. Fine. You can catch it and drag it anywhere, or you can drag it in accordance to the axis. So you can see also an interesting tool over here. You can catch that tool and you can move the view if you require. Fine. In your requirement. So the basic one thing that you can do is by moving the object or relocating. This is one of the things that you can do to the object in the object mode. In the object mode, the whole activity happens on the complete object. Second is we can scale the object. Fine. So here you can see this is the scale icon. So there are shortcuts. You should get used to the shortcuts. But right now I'll just click on scale, and then I can scale this object in any of the axis. There are different tricks how you can work around and do work faster. So this I have scaled. Now this looks like the top of my table. So, and the third operation that you can do on any object is you can rotate it. Fine. You can rotate the object in X, Y or Z axis. Fine. These are applicable on your camera. These are applicable on the certain kind of lights and other objects. So these are the 3 things that you do in the object mode. That means the whole object is affected directly. Then if now I want to do anything further, it is usually said that if you are making a simple object, fine, where different parts are not going to move, you should prefer to make the object as a single unit. So I now need to somehow pull out legs for this object from the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I've shifted to a side view, and I'm going to grab and pull, grab this table and move it somewhere at a higher location. So this is floating here. Now I want to pull some legs from this area. So now I need to shift to another mode where I'm going to edit this object further. Editing means now I'm going to work with parts of the object. This is a wireframe mode of the object. I wanted to show this. What are the parts of this object or a mesh object is? One is a dot. You know, any object, anything in geometry, the smallest thing is a point. a dot, we call it as a vertex over here. When you have two vertices, you can connect them and you get a line. Here, this connected line is referred as an edge. And if you have minimum of 3 vertices and 3 edges, and if you fill up that area, you will get something called as a face, okay, or a surface for that reason. Fine. So now I have this mesh object which has certain n number of edges, n number of vertices, and n number of faces. Since this is a cube, it has 6 faces over here, like a dice. Dice has 6 faces. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 vertices and some n number of edges. Now, my purpose is basically to go ahead and edit this. What is new in Blender 3D is when I press Z earlier, in the earlier versions, we had to shift to different modes in different ways and lot of different things. So here this is called as a circular menu, or some name is, I don't remember it. But this, once you get into the practice of this, it is very easy to change to any of these modes. Like if I wanted to change to the rendered mode, how it will look, I could simply change to this mode. I could simply change to solid mode, and I really don't need to do it. This is called as a muscle memory, and I can just do something like this. If you noticed, I pressed Z and I shifted and left it immediately over here. So I really don't need to come to this menu also. I can just do something like this. And so lot of this circular menus or pie menus, right? Pie menus have been introduced in this, which is quite interesting, and I'm finding it very, very good to use now. Okay, so let's get back to this. I'll select my object and go into the object mode over here. And now I will go to the bottom view of this object. Fine. So you could actually go to the view and select from where you want to see this, but there are shortcut keys from the numeric keypad, and I can go to the bottom view by pressing Control and 1 from the this is front view, this Control 7. So this is my bottom view, and now here I will need to go to the face selection. This is a vertex, this is edge and face. Now I will be working on individual parts of this object and not as a whole object. So right now I have selected this particular face, which is the bottom, and I'm going to break this face into multiple units. Now there are two ways I can use. I can cut these areas, but right now I'm just going to subdivide this. I get a subdivide menu over here. So you can see it is first subdivision. I can go into a higher subdivision like this. Now this is not a good idea to do this. It's better to have very less number of subdivisions, or these are new faces that will get created. But for the time being, because this is faster, I'm going to use this. Okay. So now this is subdivided and I have n number of new faces over here. And now I will select multiple faces by pressing Shift and clicking on this. And now I'm going to pull this. That means I'm going to extrude. Extrude means I will be adding new geometry. I'm not pulling it. It will be extruded. That means new components and new faces and new edges will be created. So I'll extrude it on the Z to some length of my table. So here this table is simply ready. Fine. So if we go to the rendered part, you'll get to see how the table roughly looks, or this is how it might look from the camera view. Okay. So this is how I can easily make a table over here. There are a lot of other tools and coloring options where I can assign new colors and so many other things to this. So the point is, using this particular tool is not difficult. The only thing that happens is when you will start using, if you are already into a 3D development environment, you have used it, you will be able to associate with different things much more easily. But if you are starting new to Blender or a 3D or 2D animation, you have to keep in mind this is a complex and a lengthy process, and you have to learn things slowly. So start learning from certain basic things, start doing certain basic work over here, because this whole layout looks very, very complicated. Fine, it has so many things. If you click on everything, there are hundreds of options, hundreds of sub options for each and everything, and it looks really scary what to do. Fine, even adding a color looks a bit complicated, but you don't need to learn everything immediately. You have to learn things step by step. Like today I've just shown you a very basic of how to handle the object. So all those things you have to go in a slow manner, and working in 3D modeling and animation is a lifelong process. So someone asked me how much Blender you have learned. I always say I have only learned 5% till date, and I'm still learning. Okay.
Yes, I think that is something that we all agree upon. Like these softwares are so vast that it's very difficult to get that. Okay, I have been reading some questions here, so maybe we can do a very small additional thing also on top of this. So maybe what I can do is I can keep suggesting, and you can keep doing it, Gaurav, because your screen is being shared right now, and the table is already ready there probably, so that would be easy for you to do it. Okay, so one more
Yes.
question was that they just wanted to see the extrude part once again. So maybe you can just undo a bit, and so I will just do a
Yeah,
simpler explanation also to that in addition to what you're doing. So you can just undo to get that point there. Uh, Yes. Okay. Texturing part also. Okay. So these are the four squares that will convert into our legs of the table. And what Gaurav has done is he has selected the four squares by pressing shift, and therefore we can see four yellow things, and the first one which was selected is looking white. But now when we press and by the way, Blender goes by traditional English words, so the shortcuts are totally based on the English words, so there is no suspense here. So if you have to extrude, what will be the shortcut for that? What will be the keyboard key for that? It would be E. Exactly. Nirmit, you are very right. So you just press E now, and the moment you press E, by default, it will go into the direction where the face is facing. So because it is facing downwards or upwards, it can go only in that direction, unless you tell Blender that I want it in different axes. So I just now Gaurav will just press E, and as he drags the mouse, you can see the table legs start appearing from there. And then once you get in up to a decent height, you can just leave the mouse there and press enter. Now this is very interesting. Let us do one more thing here. That yeah, Jyoti, thanks. The E is correct. Now the point is, let us select another face. For example, a side face of the table, which is the width of the table. The yeah, maybe the width part of the table. Mm, yeah, okay. So this is the, now if you want to extend this particular thing, there are two ways of doing it, right? So we if we drag it, it is going to just extend our model. We don't want that. You see, look at this. Now Gaurav is trying to just move it now. It will just drag it. Now I said that it works on English, right? So if we want to extrude, it will work as E. But if I want to maybe just rotate it, for example, now what should be the shortcut for that? It should be R, right? So just Gaurav is going to try R now just to see what happens here. So if he presses R and moves the mouse, you can see that this particular face which is selected now, he'll get rotated. Gaurav, can you just try R and let me see. Okay, I am opening my Blender now here, and okay, so this is the model I have. So if I just select a face for which the shortcut would be
Gaurav is back.
Oh, Gaurav is back. Hey, Gaurav, we missed you for a while. Okay, I will stop the sharing and go back to Gaurav maybe. Gaurav, can you share your screen now? No, but yeah. I cannot see him. Right. Okay. Let me do it for all of you. That would be much easier. Okay. So
Gaurav has a net problem, so he's not there. So
yeah. Okay. So this is let me just go over. Can you see my screen at least?
Yeah.
Okay.
it's there. It's on.
Fine. So yeah. So this is the Blender screen I can have to show you. And yes, like I said, if I have to scale this object, I'll just press S and then it will scale like this. Can you see that? I've just pressed S. If I press R, it will rotate. Okay, and yeah. So in any shortcut, we also have something called as combination. So for example, I select this particular object, and now if I want to move it in only in x-axis, I'll just say okay.
I think Gaurav is there.
Okay, fine. So I'll say rotate only in x-axis. So it will only rotate in x-axis now. And if I say rotate in y-axis, it will start rotating in y-axis. And if I say rotate in z-axis, it will only rotate in z-axis. But you know what I'm doing right now? I am not pressing any more any multiple keys here. Actually, I'm not giving so many commands here. I'm just saying Rx, Ry, Rz. It's so simple. It's just English. So guys, it will not be really intimidating for you to learn Blender. It's very easy. And why I say that? That's very important. Because people might have a problem saying that you can say Blender is easy because you know, yes, G for grab, very good. Priyam Vishwas has already learned Blender enough, I suppose. So Priyam should be useful in sharing his views with that, all of you. But I just wanted to share a couple of things here before we close on the things. If you need to learn Blender, then what we have for you is a small ebook. Okay, and using this ebook you can learn. By the way, this ebook is totally free of cost. I will just show you a demo of that so that you can have a look at that. You can actually go to my website. This is okay. So samirs.wordpress.com is the website, and once you go here, you can just press on the search icon and type for ebook. The moment you type for ebook, you will get a page here, ebook version of the course, and you can read about this thing. And I have placed it on another website, so this will now open on another tab. This ebook is a HTML page where there are videos and links for learning tutorials. So you have to just click on that. It will open like this. We will just ask you for an email ID. Apart from that, everything else is free. So there is no registration, there is no fees, and there is no certificate. It's just pure knowledge. So you'll come to this page. You have to accept that the information is used for informational purpose and all that. You just say accept here, and once you accept, okay, once I accept this, it should go to the next page. And why it is not showing properly? Let me just see this. Okay, so you can see that here. Once I have clicked on the index page. Okay, if this doesn't work, I'll show you on another browser, which would be much easier for you probably. Okay, so I just share the screen on another one. I am just posting you on the chat. I am posting you the link where you can actually get this ebook. So let me just post that first of all for all of you, so that you can get to the idea of what is this ebook all about. Okay, so here is the yes. So this is the page where you can actually get the ebook, from where you can check this thing out. I think there is an issue with the server, but let me still see if I can get that. This has a collection of various steps for doing all these questions that you asked. How to change the color of this, how to, okay, I got it here. Maybe I will just try and share my another window now, which is here. I'll share this now. I'm not sure why it is not going ahead. It's just not loading properly. Correct. I'll come back to it when I see that going correctly. I'll just go back to my presentation so that, right. So who can learn Blender and how fast you can learn Blender? That was another question that I saw. So literally kids play. These two kids in the picture are showing their ages. So the girl is 8-year-old and the boy is 10-year-old. And they have learned Blender to the level that they have created a model of their own house and their school and the entire road between that. They are from Kendriya Vidyalaya Jodhpur, and they have been practicing Blender like anything. I have many more students like that who come to my course and keep practicing Blender. There is an entire group of WhatsApp users for various levels where I am controlling those groups and talking to people about how they can collaborate with each other. So they have been learning Blender for last 1 year or so. But I remember that whenever we conduct workshops, a focus workshop, we have seen that by the end of the day, the learners are able to create their own animation. So it's only a matter of 4 to 5 hours that you can create your first animation. So that's how simple it is. So you can go to my blog and check for Blender learners. There are people of the age group 82, and there are also people who are aged 8. So between 8 to 82, anyone can learn Blender. That is what I have seen. That has been happening. So to go to my blog, this is the URL ssamiraj.wordpress.com, where you can also take a QR snapshot of this, and probably you will be able to go to my blog very easily using this. So thank you very much. I think the website is down right now, where the ebook is not getting loaded. And therefore, I am not able to show you the easy way of learning Blender. But in case you have questions, I would be very happy to answer that. Yeah, Gaurav is back. Okay. Gaurav, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I'll continue with the 2D demo and
Yeah. Okay. Maybe you can show
sculpting part.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So if you have anything, you can just finish that. Then we'll go to that.
No, that's okay. You can go ahead.
Okay.
Can you share the screen?
Yeah, I'll see. Okay, so I think Samir explained most of the part, and I hope this is visible to you. This is a small chocolate which I tried making on this Blender, fine, and if we try to render it, that means how it looks in actual. So in this case, there are two lights that have been placed over here, and this is the whole chocolate. Fine, this is the chocolate which is there, So rendering is basically how the final output will look based on this particular camera's view. So if we try to render it, then I hope you people can see the rendered output that is coming up. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
So it is slowly rendering block by block. Is that visible?
Yes, now this is visible.
Yes, sir.
So
Dexter's milk chocolate.
so over here what you see is this process. Once you learn, so you can come up to this particular level within a month of learning Blender. So this is not very difficult, and there are a lot of tools which help you get up doing these kind of things very easily. So, and this what you see rendering right now, many people have this question, is how much processing power do you require? So I told in the last one also, right now I'm running a i3 laptop, Intel i3, and I have 6 GB of RAM, and there is no graphics card into this. Fine, there is no graphics card, keep in mind. So this thing renders in, I think it rendered with 1 minute 40 seconds or something. This took 2 minutes to render. So as you will go into more complex and detailed rendering, you will be needing to a better machine. Fine, that is usually a question, that what machine we should have. So if you really want to get into 3D animation modeling, you will need at least two 24-inch full HD screens and a processor which is like i5, i7 or whatever you can get, and at least 16 GB of RAM or more, and a good graphics card associated with it. Fine. Though the basic laptops are not going to stop you from learning, they are a good starting point. But if you really want to get into animation and all, because you need to see the output every now and then you should be able, you will need a better machine. But again, keep in mind, even if you have a simpler machine, that's not going to stop you from using Blender. As I said, my machine is already 5 years old and still it works fine for the basic work or working with Blender. Okay, now let me get to the 2D animation part. Blender has this 2D animation which I can directly go by saying into 2D animation. So this is a 2D animation. 2D animation is basically a view from only one side. It's an orthographic view. The camera has been placed in front of us. So some people were asking how animation can be done, how to move some objects. So let me try doing an animation very fast. So suppose this is an object or this is a ball. We always take this standard example for a bouncing ball. So if I want to make this as a bouncing ball as an animation, then I need to select this particular object. Now, yeah. So I go into edit mode, I select this particular object and I need to move it at a particular location. Fine. Now when we do animation, we have frames, as Samir explained. So these are the frames that you can see over here. A lot of frames are there. So the first thing I need to set is the first keyframe over here where my ball is. And let us say I want to do a bounce like this, which comes here and it goes here. So this is the first location, and then I want to take it to the second location. I'll grab this ball. First, I'll need to move it to the frame in which I want the ball in a second location. Then I should grab this ball and I will move it to the next location. Now, of course, there are a lot of rules of animation like stretch and squash to give it a good view or make it look real, but I'm not going to do that. So this is my second place where the ball has to be. Then in the 20th frame, I want the ball to be at a different location. So again, I will grab this and I will place it a bit lower because it's going to bounce a bit below. And then I'll go to the 30th one. And again, I'll grab it and I will place it over here, let us say. Okay. Now, if I play this, you can see this is animated now. Let me just put the ending as 30 frames over here. And if I play this, now you will see this animation has started. Of course, now most of you will say this does not look like a good animation. And like what Samir had explained was initially about Tom and Jerry was that you had to make these frames. Now, how many frames I made was the first, second, third, fourth. I actually made only 4 frames, or those are called as the 4 key frames which I have made. Now, what the computer can do for me is help me in defining these remaining frames in between so that the animation looks smooth. That is called as an interpolation or movement of your ball from one location to another. So I will tell it that it has to be a sequence. So I'll just put it here. Now this is I'm telling the computer to do it. So please try to understand what I'm demonstrating it, how easy it is. You don't need to get worried about what exactly is done, but what now the computer has done is it has filled up all the frames for me one by one. If you look at this, can you see this? The computer has filled this. And the backgrounds that you see of small balls, that is for my reference. It really does not comes in the final animation. And in term of this 2D animation, it is called as onion skin. Fine. So a previous one is shown. So you can see right now how it has been done. Now, if I wanted a more curved one, then I will have to have more keyframes in between to tell the computer how it has to go. But if you look at it, this animation, which would have required me to draw 30 frames, I had only drawn 1, 2, 3, and 4 frames, and my animation is ready. Okay. So this is a much suitable one. Of course, this is not a great animation, but just for demo, you can see it has moved. Similarly, you could draw stick figures or whatever is required over here, and these tools are going to help you to get your work done. So this is called as the 2D animation part, or it was earlier called as the grease pencil to work upon this. Fine. So animation, again, as I used the term stretch and squash. So there are certain rules when you go into animation, and that you have to follow. And then only when you understand those concepts, you'll be able to make better animations. So this is my 2D animation part, which you can work over here. The next is called as sculpting. Sculpting is like if you have clay or something and you want to make something from that. So here, this is a huge mass which I have been provided, and I can sculpt it. You can see here. There are different tools to do different kind of works. Fine. It has some setups. Right now, this basic setup is to sculpt a face. Fine. So basically it is copying the 2 axes so that if I do something on one side, it is copied on the other side. Fine. So I can use different tools like this. I'll try to pull a nose over here for this guy. Fine. And you can try out certain tools to get the work done. So of course you have to see what the different tools are. You'll have to learn this. And so this is a rough sculpting that I have done. I am no master or expert into sculpting, let me tell you very frankly, but once I learn these tools, what each and every tool does, I will know what it is to be done, and then you can do a very good sculpting part and get your work done properly. So this is a rough face that I could generate by sculpting. So this is also inbuilt into your Blender part. And finally, people who had seen the OpenShot thing, if you start using Blender, then you can directly do your video editing over here. So like if I go into my desktop and I have this simple movie strip over here, and just like the other one, OpenShot, you have your layers over here where you can keep your movie in one of the tracks, and you can see that movie over here. This is, if you remember, I had shown you one chess set, and I've just moved the camera around to create an animation over there. And now if I want some audio into this, I can grab a audio track. Let us say, suppose this was the audio track. I could grab the audio track and keep it over here, and then I could render this final thing with audio video. And similarly, what was shown in OpenShot is that if you want to cut the track somewhere, you can place this, and then you can cut it at that particular point so your track is separated. Then you can add things like fade to it, that is transition, fade in, fade out. So all those kind of things will be automatically added. As you can see over here, these things are added. So Blender has this thing also inbuilt. That means if you are working with Blender, you actually get to see the whole thing. And so if you're working with Blender, Blender becomes a complete unit with which you really don't need to leave that environment to do most of the work. Of course, it does not have not explored the video editing too much, but yes, if you take a Blender, it is a complete package, and believe me that it's not a simple tool, or it should not be considered as a secondary tool for animation or something. If you start using it, you will come to know the power of that tool. And always you have to keep one thing in mind, that you are getting it for zero cost, a licensed software for zero cost. Until unless you keep that thing in mind, you will not be able to understand, or until unless you start paying for the actual 3D softwares. Once you start paying those license fees or the software fees, then you'll be able to correlate the difference much more easily. Okay, so I think that is from my side. I will just share 3 links on the chat over here. And so the 3 links, basically, one is the Big Buck Bunny movie, which Samir described. So when you look at the Big Buck Bunny movie, you have to keep one thing in mind, that this movie was made 8 to 10 years ago, when Blender was in its basic stages. Fine. And now this has been remastered into a HD quality. So please look at this movie, and people who are into animation and know the concepts, the movie uses all the stretch and squash and other kind of rules that are there. Fine. Exaggeration is there, then staging is there, and all the rules have been used. So this is a very good reference movie, in fact, for people who are teaching animation and other things. All those things are there.
It is created in 2008.
Yes, 2008, right. Because of 8, I was like saying 8 years ago. So it's more than that now. And there is this Spring movie that was released. I think the Spring movie has been made with the newer Blender engine, that is Eevee. So there is a very sweet girl in this, and the expressions are beautiful, you will see. This is an open movie that is there. And finally, this is Blender for television VFX. This is a person's recording from the BlenderConf 2017. So here he has discussed a lot of places where he has used Blender in real life work. So those are the things. Please search for something called as demo reels for Blender. Lot of people are doing lot of great works. one of the movies, Jurassic World, the newer one which has come 1 or 2 years ago, Jurassic World breakdown or something is there. If anyone knows the name, they can mention it. So that movie actually, the dinosaurs were designed with Blender. That is what I came to know. Okay, so that is from my side. If you have any queries, we can discuss. Me and Samir will try to answer those queries. So please go ahead and ask the queries.
At this point of time, there are no queries. May I ask Anubhav to invite the principal? Thank everybody.
Yes. So now we have our principal, sir, Professor Dr. Gaur Banerjee of the Heritage Academy with us. Sir, I would like you to say a few words.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to Dr. Uma Shankar Pandey, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Surendranath College for Women, Kolkata, and Dr. Madhupa Bosti, Dean Media Science Department of the Academy. Today, we had just concluded webinar organized by eminent speakers, Mr. Gaurav Pant, Founder, Open Source Pune, and Dr. Samir Sahasrabudhe, Director, EMMRC Pune, delivered talks on the topic Blender for 3D modeling and animation. The initiative will certainly be of great help not only for the students but also members of faculty and industry professionals in extending their horizons in producing media content. With the help of the array of free open source softwares, I strongly believe that such initiative could be possible only by virtue of a team of dedicated, highly skilled members of faculty and students under the dynamic leadership of Dean Media Science. To all of you, demand and deserve a big salute from all of us. I feel honored to express my gratitude to our respected Chief Executive Officer for Kalyan Bharati Trust, Sri Pradeep Kumar Agarwal sir, who is always a source of continuous support, encouragement, and inspiration for all of us in Heritage Group of Institutions. I further like to thank Director Kalyan Bharati Trust, Mr. Praveen Roy, for his valuable guidance, distinguished dignitaries, members of faculty of Heritage Group of Institutions, other participants, and our beloved students for their presence in the webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. With this, we come to an end of this webinar. I would like to thank our guests, Dr. Sahasrabudhe and Mr. Pant, for sharing their valuable knowledge and experience with us. This is Anubhav Datta signing off. Stay safe, stay healthy.